just like those model kits we saw earlier. These were built by three brothers named the Gibson brothers. They're somewhere on the East Coast, and these were basically, you know, hand built and kit bashed.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they would take parts from different model kits that were the correct pieces to recreate some of Gene's famous cars. And these are other things that, you know, other kits and other Hot Wheels and stuff like that. But yeah, the Gibson brothers, these are really nicely detailed.
Yeah, they are. They're nicely done.
And I don't even think they make one of these Econoline. I don't know how they did that. They might have made that from a die cast and made a resin from it, or they might have even started out with like a Dodge Little Red Wagon and filled it all with putty and cut and shaped it and everything to make it into a Econoline. But yeah, we got the stickers here. This is actually Gene was at like some art gallery, and back, I don't know, 40-50 years ago, and they wanted like $800 for this thing, and he's looking at it, and so he went home and he had a couple of these little stools that are for like a kid's play set for outside. So he had a couple of little stools, and this was like a MDF board disc and some plastic molding, and he had some acrylic rod, and I think he had to go get this plumb bob chromed and stuff, and anyway, stuff like that. So he built it, he said, for 35 bucks. We had an earthquake here 4th of July, maybe about 3 years ago, and I went and checked this to see what the pattern it made. We had it was probably about 40 miles away where the earthquake was in Ridgecrest. But anyway, so this is the Hot Rod Garage, and a lot of it's more photos and memorabilia and stuff. And this was actually this engine Gene blew up, flathead. It was in his 27T. The thing, the block is he blew it up at 136 at Bonneville, and so.
Oh, that was in the Bonneville.
He ran that. That was the fastest he ever ran at Bonneville with his coupe, the thing, and it just really lunched the motor. I think the cam broke, and pieces of the cam got jammed in the crank and busted the main caps and even the timing gears. It was a big mess. So I think he saved one piston out of it. But then these were out of a catalytic converter. He made these standoffs to hold this, and he got some J-bend tubing and made up some Zoomy headers for it. This actually was our Wyco 4-cylinder magnetos for a 4-cylinder tractor, and you know, they were very common. You know, a lot of this stuff in the 40s because of farm equipment. So they took these Wyco magnetos, and there was a guy named a guy named Barker made that cast front cover piece that not really the front cover, but the cast distributor housing piece that bolts on the front cover of a flathead. And they put 2 4-cylinder Wyco mags on it. It probably takes a lot of horsepower because it's all right-hand gear driven and everything. But yeah, let me get my reflection out of there. Yeah, and here we have this stool. This was from the Monster Garage TV series. Gene appeared on the
we all know about that guy.
So then we
don't wanna say anything more.
But anyway, they were going to pitch that out, so he grabbed it.
Oh, so he grabbed the chair? Good boy.
He grabbed the stool, yeah. He got that, and he got the clock. When you see the clock, he got that. That's in the office. And then we, well, you'll see another part that we did here. Well, you know what? Let me get over here so my shadow's not in the thing. He has another room over there that he has a Murphy bed in the wall. And he says, I want to have a bed in there that'll fold up out of the way. He says, if I have company, you know, he says I could use it for a display and then use it for a guest room too. So I said, hey, you know, you ought to do the same thing in the Hot Rod Garage. He goes, where would there be space? And I said, well, you know, that little alcove. I said, I've always had this idea to get the back of a pickup bed and use that for the headboard. So I knew where there was the back of a cab out in the desert on the guy's ranch, but when I went back, it was gone. So Gina, this is actually a reproduction that came from some guys in Australia that made that up for
Yeah.
him. Anyway, so then with that, this was actually a running board off my, it was all bent up the front of it. It's off my 28 sedan delivery project that one of these years I want to work on. But so we cut the bad part off that, used that. He made the apron. This was a $30 fender that he got from the swap meet. I don't even think it's a Model A fender. And anyway, so and then we made the bed. We just had a couple of pictures, illustrations to go by. So we proportioned everything, and then we did that like on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then wouldn't you know, on Monday, a guy that we know comes by, a friend of ours, and he goes, "Hey, look at the Model A pickup I just bought." He bought a nice street rod Model A pickup. And we're out there measuring, and we were only off like 3/8 of an inch here and 1/4 inch there and stuff. We got it pretty accurate.
That's pretty neat.
But we made it 6 feet long. The originals were only, I think, 56 inches, and we made it 6 feet long. So it's actually too short for a regular bed, but you know, and it's got like a you know, it's got support under there, and we put a foam mattress in there. And, this is the 4-carb setup. He borrowed a 4-carb Edelbrock manifold from one of his friends, and we had this. I think that what's the guy's name? Vintage Speed in Florida, I think, built these carburetors. Some more flathead manifolds. This is for $397. Stromberg's that was on a inline Jaguar 6, and guy made this, and it was in the back of a VW Bug chassis.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it was on some kind of kit car, but it was a Jag engine mounted to a VW.
That's a crazy freaking.
And then this is actually the wood pattern that they use. They use these patterns they pack sand all around them, and then they pull this part out, and then they pour molten aluminum in there, and that's how they make those shapes. They cast the shape. So I think it's kind of neat. One of my other interests is foundry stuff, so I like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's neat. Goddamn phones.
Hang on a second. Hello there. Oh, not much. I'm giving somebody a tour here of Gene's.
Somebody.
So what are you up to? Yes. Yeah.